Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Woke Bros. Of course, I'm your co-host, Big Wos AKA Wosny Lambre, and I'm joined, man, for the first time ever on the Woke Bros, which is kind of crazy. My brother, my partner in crime, man. Like, I swear to God, we're like Batman and Robin in LA at this point. Like, if you see me, you're going to see Pav. Pavy, welcome to the show, brother.
Man, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Excited to do this. So yeah, man.
Yeah, super, super excited. I mean, I wish we were talking about something different. Um, but I was on TYT yesterday co-hosting, and we did a segment about some alderman lady from the north side who has decided that she's no longer gonna send out alerts when people get robbed or shot or stabbed, because she feels like it's just bringing a bad vibe when she
Okay.
sends out alerts to her constituents about the crime happening in
Okay.
Chicago, Illinois. And obviously, the sort of homicide situation in Chicago has been in the news forever. Seems like everybody has an opinion. Obviously, we know right wingers, conservative people want to be like, look at these blacks and the black on black crime, and they're so violent and blah blah blah. And then some people want to be like, oh no, it's not a big deal. Like, it's okay when people get shot. Like, it's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I would really like to talk to Pav about this, because obviously you're born and raised in Chicago,
Yeah.
south side of Chicago. You're not one of these northern suburb
I'm
people.
not one of the northern suburb people.
You are actually from
91st and Emerald. I'm from 91st.
just in case people want to know.
Grandmother lived there for my grandmother moved there when like she bought the house. You could see back to Halsted when it was like nothing there. Like, it was one of the first communities that, like, blacks, if you had some money, if you had a job and you could like own a home out south, it was one of the communities where like you went to. So it's all black community. Yeah, I grew up there for 24 years, lived on one house and one block. So yeah, I'm from Chicago. I'm not from Homewood Flossmoor. I'm not from Schaumburg. I am from.
You're not
I have
from
a Chicago zip.
Evanston?
I'm not from Evanston. I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to get your, first of all, just talk to me about just growing up on the south side on 91st and Emerald. Like, what was it like for you? Like, one, how did you feel like growing up? Like, did you feel like, oh, I'm constantly in danger or whatever? And how did you, just what was it like, and what was typical growing up where you
All
grew
right,
up at?
so it's like it wasn't the worst neighborhood, but it wasn't the best neighborhood either. So like, if you were looking for anything you want to find, like if you wanted to have something bad happen to you, you could very easily have something bad happen to you. But it wasn't the worst neighborhood. Also, like I said, people own these homes, and like these were like
Mhm.
older people, so people really took care of like the block. Like, we didn't have block clubs, but people took care of the block. People took care of the grass. Like, it was a thing. Like, don't walk on nobody's grass. That was like a huge thing.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, I would hang out with kids in my neighborhood. We would go outside and play. But obviously things happen. Like, yeah, there was gangs. I mean, like, my whole neighborhood was like a Stone neighborhood. It was called Rack City, and the neighborhood next to it was called Fintown. Very funny, because both of them were Stone neighborhoods, but we couldn't go to the other neighborhood. To this day, I have no idea why we had beef with them. Like, to this day, I have no idea why we had beef. But I mean, you just had to like learn like street politics. Like, okay, well, like GDs are over here. We're like, all right, well, if I go down this street, I might have to run into like these people. So you had to learn all these things and have like street smarts. Obviously, like, yeah, shootings happen. Like, yeah, I heard gunshots, but it wasn't like I was growing up fearing for my life. Like, even for instance, right? I think one of the more famous streets in America is 63rd. Where my whole family went to church was St. Philip's on 62nd and Eberhard, which is right off 63rd, like over the whole O Block. King Von is right over there. And sometimes after church, like my homie, my grandma would not my grandma, my dad would let us go and play with some of the other church kids. And even that was one of the worst neighborhoods probably, but it still didn't feel like, it didn't feel like I was in constant danger all the time. I think that the violence was a little bit more, I want to say, structured and maybe contained than maybe what it became like later on in life. Obviously, because I think like growing up, I think the gang still had more structure. Like, I remember there was like a huge BD raid in like 2003. And a lady, and God, by the way, I went to a private school, but one of the kids in the school, her dad got rounded up. It's like a huge BD raid. So like they kind of tore down the projects and dispersed everybody in different communities.
Can we talk about that, please?
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? Because I feel like that's a very important moment that informs a lot of the violence that's happening in the city of Chicago right now. Like, can you tell people what these projects were and where they were situated, and then what happened when they tore the projects down?
Okay, so as you've been from New York, like you have like these a lot of these urban areas, especially I think it was like almost like the 50s, like after World War II and things like that. You had like these black communities, and they were just like, all right, we're gonna put a whole bunch of people in these urban areas and there. All right. And the projects in New York, I feel like they were a little bit better kept and better built. So a lot of the
Probably.
places, so like a lot of
Mm.
places where they think there was a thing called like, well, there's obviously a thing called redlining. Chicago is very segregated. It's the most segregated place to this day I've ever been. Like even when I moved to LA, one of the main things that tweaked me out was like everybody lives around everybody. Like I have
And
like
even LA, like people would argue that, like, obviously when you go to South LA, places like South Central Watts, Inglewood or whatever, like is obviously very different from, say, Bel Air or Beverly Hills or Brentwood or any of that crazy shit. But I think if you go to somewhere like Culver City right now, like it's black people, white people, Asian
No,
people.
I tell people all the time, literally like from pre-K until college, I sat in class with three people that weren't black. Like students, three people the entire time that weren't black. So that's how segregated the city is. I say that to say a lot of these areas that they were in were like Garfield area, 55th, and they were in like really, really rundown homes. So they was like,
Mhm,
all right, we're gonna build the projects up, and the projects are actually on really good land. Like Cabrini Green is down the street from the Gold Coast. You can walk, like you
mhm.
can walk. So the projects, it's just they were really dilapidated. Granted, I didn't know anybody who lived in the projects, but they were really, really dilapidated. You really couldn't police them. Like they had like snipers on like the roof and things like that's
Mhm.
a real thing. They really had like snipers on the roof. They're really, really gang infested. And I think in the Robert Taylor homes, if I'm not mistaken, you can Google this, but at one point in time, I think seven of the 10 poorest communities in America were in the Robert Taylor homes.
Wow.
So
Mhm.
like these were really, really poor areas, really, really gang infested
And what
areas.
you're saying is, and this is like a common story. It's like they built these public housing, and they spent the money to build it, but they never spent the money to maintain it,
For
and
sure.
so basically the projects became unlivable,
Basically.
damn near borderline to some people, and they
Yeah.
thought the thing to do was not to make them more habitable, make them suitable for a dignified human life. They was like, you know what, we're just gonna tear the projects down. And to your knowledge, what do you know about what happened after they tear the projects down?
Okay, they had to tear the projects down. Like they
Okay.
genuinely had to go. Like they honestly had to go. It was just bad. It wasn't going to get better. You had to tear them down. The problem with tearing them down is, which people do when you start moving people in different communities, is okay. All right, if this community, if let's say if I'm a GD, right, and you just tore my project down, but you moved me to a stone area, bro, you just moved me to a stone area. You moved me to a
Mhm.
stone school. So that automatically creates like violence and friction and like because you don't know what street beefs or whatever these people have. So you tear the projects down and you disperse everybody into different communities and it just spreads it out and like it has other neighborhoods experiencing things that they weren't necessarily experiencing before or
Before
experiencing those
projects
things
got
more
torn
before
down.
the projects. Like I remember when Project Kids moved in on my block. There was a crib
Wow.
like midway through the block, and like yeah, like they dispersed, and it was Section 8 housing. Like they were cool, but they still moved. That was a Section 8 career. I remember when it happened. So you disperse them, and then you put them in different areas and different high schools, and yeah, it just spreads everything out more than what it was, and put that up with the gang roundups that they did as well. So now you lock a lot of like the leaders up, which again they were breaking the law, so fair, but you lock a lot of leaders up. But now there's no leaders. Like your
Right.
OG 21, what he know?
Right.
So yeah,
Right. And so what I think you're saying is that a problem that was very highly concentrated into one area, meaning, or a few areas,
few
meaning
areas.
all of the projects, not that that's better. We don't want the people in the projects having to live in terrible
Yeah,
conditions, worried about getting popped, worried about all of that stuff. But that's what it was. It was very concentrated to one area. And then when you tear the projects down, a lot of those problems now spread to multiple areas.
yeah,
Am I correct in what I'm saying?
yes, yes, and
And you're
again, not
saying, you remember the shift
yeah, I
of
remember.
when this very working class, blue collar neighborhood that you lived in Most of the people own their homes in those neighborhoods. Yes, it wasn't a bunch of rich people. It wasn't like, y'all wasn't living like the Brady Bunch, but it
Yeah,
was like, yo, this is a cool existence. We're keeping it the way
for
it needs
sure.
to be. And then it got changed into something else, you're saying.
Yeah, and again, not saying it's still the worst place in America, but I do remember even just how the neighborhood looked. It visually looked better when I was growing up than what it looks like when I go back now.
Mm,
And again, that can be crippled off with like a lot of the coupled into like a lot of the older people dying off, and you give them to
mhm.
like your sons or your daughters, and they don't have the same level of care for the place, or whoever else gets it, or somebody just gets it completely entirely who didn't grow up in that neighborhood and doesn't feel the same uh
Pride.
pride in it. So yeah, but yes, I do remember. And again, not saying that nothing happened in these neighborhoods before. I'm just saying there was definitely a switch, and things started happening in places where things I don't think were happening as frequently after that
Got
situation
you.
happened.
Got you. And so, like, I feel like when you're like 8 and 9, because like, so I'm just to give you an example, right? I grew up first 12 years of my life in Brooklyn in a neighborhood called East Flatbush, where like there might have been, if there was 5 shootings in the summer, that was like a lot. Niggas was selling drugs. Like there was, I could see some crack vials on certain parts of my neighborhood, but mostly it was homes. It was residential. It was mixed actually. It was residential, and there were buildings, apartment buildings and stuff like that. But like you never felt like you were around the corner from some violence all the time, right?
Yeah,
Then I moved to Queens Village, right, which is to me, I consider Hollis, Queens Village, Cambria Heights, St. Albans, these 4 neighborhoods that are clustered together where I grew up at as one thing. And like I said, if 2 niggas died in the summer,
that was a
that
lot.
was a
That
crazy
was a lot.
hot
Yeah,
summer.
yeah. Same,
Okay.
same, 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 same.
So you remember when it
Yeah,
was like that, like in your neighborhood
yeah,
specifically, like
yeah.
yo, if 3 people from the surrounding, within a 2.5 mile radius passed this summer, like that was crazy.
If somebody died, it was a big story. Like
It
if
was
like
a
if
big
somebody
deal.
died, even if like somebody got shot. Like I remember one summer, I remember this vivid. It was like it was two big shootings that I remember. One was the police. There was a guy who lived on
Mhm.
my block, and like I guess he had 2 strikes and one trying to go back to jail. And
And the
like,
cops killed him.
well, he was okay. So what happened was he had came from he I think he led a police chase from 87th and Stony to literally my block, and he tried to like ram 2 police cars, and they hopped out and like shot him like 30 times. That was a
Okay,
huge big thing. And then like the other one
not
was
great.
not great. And then like the other one that I remember was like it was like 24 shots that got let off at like maybe like 11
Mm,
p.m. I remember I was playing NBA Live, and I'm like, oh, they shooting outside. And like one of my
mm.
homies' cribs got like shot in, or like a bullet got stuck in the door. But like basically, I'm saying those were I can remember because they were huge things.
This was a huge event.
Huge things. They were like huge things. So yes, I feel you. Like yes, it was like if 2 people got shot in one summer, what's going on? Like people want to know what's going on.
So when do you remember it getting to like a level of like, yo, this might be a little bit
I'll tell
past
you when.
anything close to
I'll
normal?
tell you when.
Because hold on, before you go on, the reason why we were covering the story too about the alderman lady, whose name, by the way, hold on, let me find this chick's name. Um, her name is Lenny Manai Hoppenworth. I think she might be an Asian. She might be Hawaiian. She's racially kind of ambiguous to me. She has these big, thick hipster glasses. That I look at those glasses and like, of course, you think the answer to the crime is to
Not
erase the
tell
alerts,
nobody.
but but no. And the reason we covered the story on TYT is because there were 30 shootings this past weekend in Chicago, or 30 people wounded, 5 people dead, and this is the third weekend in a row where 30 plus people have been wounded by gunshots.
Yeah.
That's 90 people in 3 weeks, right? Which
I'll just say I remember weekends when I was like 21 where it was like 75 people in one weekend. I just like I just remember
we're
like so
doing better. We're making progress.
unfortunately unfortunately literally I'm sorry, but I remember weekends when it
Yo,
was
we're
like
not
we're
trivializing the
not.
deaths of these people, but goddamn.
I remember weekends when it was like 65 people. I remember there was one shooting a couple years ago on like 75th and Essex. 9 people got shot. They called it a mass shooting because 9
9
people
people
got
got
shot.
killed.
No, not killed, but shot. I don't know. I
Shot.
don't. I
Okay.
don't know how many died, but 9 people got. But
Oh,
I was
just on one corner there was 9.
in one shooting, 9 people got shot. They called it a mass shooting, bro. I was still living in Chicago when that happened. They called it a mass shooting. In one
Okay.
shooting, 9 people got shot. But no, for me, I think the switch was
Mhm.
around about 2007 because it was around about 2007 there would always be a big school killing every single year. And before that, I
Mm.
can't remember. Granted, I'm not saying kids weren't killing kids because obviously kids were, but it was in my lifetime where I remember like, I don't know if I want to fight no more because people killing people. That
Mm.
was probably about, I want to say about '07. And then also just the ammunition, the guns that these kids have now, as opposed to like the guns that we saw growing up. Like the first gun I ever saw was a 38. How much damage you finna do with an old 38? They got switches and things with like where you getting this ammunition from? And I think that
Like
came,
Dracos and all of that
yeah,
kind of
like
stuff.
Dracos and guns with 30 shots and things like that. You didn't see that. Like
Mhm.
you didn't see that. Like Rondo #9, there's an infamous picture. He posted a picture with a rocket launcher. Where did you get a rocket launcher? No, it's a real thing. You can Google the picture. He posted a picture with a rocket launcher, bro.
Yeah.
So I think just that and then
Oh
just
seven, and you feel like there was like it was like a line of demarcation. It's like, okay, this is a lot worse than what we were used to
because it was
dealing
kids,
with.
bro. Like you got literally kids running around shooting up other kids. And then you again add in the ammunition that they have now as like opposed to, in 2003, like I said, you got a 38. How much damage you really finna cause with 6, 7 shots as opposed to you got these guns that got 20 shots and you just shooting just at whatever. You're not even aiming. And that was, yeah, so for me, I would think '07. That was the year when I remember I don't want to say his name because I forget it, but it was at Julian. There was a big school killing at Julian. Anybody around my age, they know what I'm talking about. It was a really big school killing at Julian. Then I think the next year, a like 14-year-old got hit in the head with a 2x4 at Finger. I think it was Finger or Phillips after school, and that was like another death. And literally every year there would be a very big school killing. But to me, it started in about like '07.
Can you? I mean, obviously, this shit is senseless violence, so it's hard to make any sense of it
It's not
whatsoever.
senseless to them.
Okay, that's what. So
It's not
that's what I wanted
senseless.
to. That's what I wanted to get
It's
into. Can you explain or try to explain the logic of a kid that's in this lifestyle in Chicago and why it makes sense to shoot everything up and resolve problems this way always?
I
Can you
mean,
like bring us into the
it's
mindset of
literally,
somebody that's on
I
that?
mean, I think, as like, we both know history. We know about war. They think they're at war. They
Mm.
literally think that they're at war. Like, all right, let's say, we together, right? I don't know, we get into a fight and somebody killed my best friend. And the police not gonna solve it. Like the police is not like the police running around locking these people up. So like if you want to get revenge or you want to, feel like what do you have to do? You have to go solve this yourself. And then that creates forever beefs. Cause okay, let's say you kill my best friend. So I
It's
kill
just
your
a
brother.
constant tit for tat.
And then it gets to the point where it's like, again, if it's like I told you, we had beef with the next neighborhood. I don't know why. I guarantee you some people are beefing with people and actually don't know why they beefing. Because it's
Mm.
been going on so long where they don't know. So it's like, nah, it's not, it's unfortunate violence, but it's not senseless. Like these people are humans. They have, hearts. They have
They got
everything.
common
Yeah, they have.
sense.
It's
But it
not
it
senseless.
is just a never. So you're saying like say there's a shooting, the shootings this weekend. If somebody was able to do some level of forensic reporting, boots on the ground, and like talk to the people in those neighborhoods, they would be able to explain like this one shot this one because this one, and then that one, and then 2 summers ago that one. So you're saying that's what would be revealed by an investigation.
Yes, and then you would also find out the people you beefing with live 2 blocks away from you. Like it
Wow.
ain't like these people are, living across the city. Because we talking about lower income communities. You ain't even got the money to beef for somebody way up, up there. Like you gonna beef with people who are around you. So you add in that, and then again you add in breaking down the gang structure, bro. I don't even know what it is anymore. They have something called EBK. That stands for everybody killers. We don't like anybody. So like you might have
Wait,
a
hold on, Pat. For people listening who don't know, right? Like, can you break down some of the gangs that you remember when you were growing up?
All right, so like the biggest games, obviously GDs, BDs,
GD's Gangster Disciple.
yeah, Gangster Disciple, 6 point star. BDs, if I'm not mistaken, 6 point star. But the thing about BDs was before Chief Keef, if somebody told you they were a BD, they were dead serious.
Mm.
GD, GD is like the biggest game. GD is like saying you
Everybody's kind of a GD.
everybody like GD, whatever. Like GD, he might just be saying that. If somebody told you they were a BD, you know, they were growing up, they were dead serious because there wasn't that many of them. You had Stones, you had Vice Lords, but that was like more some West Side thing. Then you had like Four Corner Hustlers, Latin Kings, all these things. And when you add a K behind anything, that means like GDK
That means you're specifically
dissing
beefing
them,
with.
dissing them. That means you're dissing them. Or like if you
So
drop in a symbol,
GDK is like I'm a GD killer.
yes. So
BDK, I'm a
BD
BD
killer.
killer.
Yes,
Got you.
BPSC and K, Black P Stone Nation K would be you a stone killer. You're whatever. That's what that means. But again, now we've divulged to the fact where it's like blocks and sets. So it's not just a big gang structure because they took our leaders away. So it's like blocks and sets. So you'll have GDs beefing with GDs. You'll have BDs beefing with other BDs because it's just more about sets. And I told you got something now called EBK. Everybody killer. We don't like
So
nobody. We
every
into it with
single
everybody.
affiliation they're just beefing with.
We into it because my homie might be a GD, you might be a BD, you might be a Stone, but we all cool. We EBK. We don't like
I have a
nobody.
question. To your knowledge, how are they getting these gats? Are these
I
are
have no
these
idea.
niggas selling drugs? Like, how are they getting the money to finance this
I have
stuff?
no idea. A lot of it is robbing other people. Cause I mean,
Mm.
the drug thing, it's not the 80s no more, bro. You're not making mad bread off selling crack.
Like, can you really sell that much crack?
I
Like,
don't
it
know.
just
I
seems
mean,
like you
I don't know.
can't.
People have
Maybe they're
conspiracy.
selling fent.
I have no idea, bro. Like people have
Mm.
conspiracies that the guns somehow just get dropped off in the hood, or like people will like rob a
Mm.
train and things like that. That is a mystery that is completely above my pay grade. I have no idea. But even still, I
Mhm.
have no idea how they get into this kind of ammunition though. Like, yes, I could see you get your hands on, I don't know, a 9, but like
Yeah,
this kind of
if you had a 45, you was crazy. You was
yeah,
Charles
like
Bronson with a
you was
45
John
back in the
Wick. Like
day.
I don't really
You was John
you was
Wick.
John Wick. Like I can't that is an answer that is not even for me
Mhm.
to solve. But like, yeah, that I can't even speak to. I have no idea. That is a really good question that I don't know the answer to.
If you had a magic wand and you could solve this, what do you think is the solve? How does this get changed? How does this get fixed? How does this like or just slow down a little bit? Like how?
Fixed is impossible because from the beginning of time, humans will find a way to not like another human. So fixed is
Sure.
impossible. But I think a way to slow it down. When it starts in the homes, yo, like honestly, like parents need to do a better job parenting. Like one of the main things that kept me out of anything was like I just had supervision at home. Like certain things I couldn't do because my grandma called me, yo, where you at? Where you at? Street lights on, come back home. Or like after high school, hey, it ain't like 4:30. Come on, get home. Where you at? So some of it starts in the home and parents need to parent better. Other things is like they did take a bunch of programs out of these schools and
Mm,
they don't really have nothing to do. Like if you a kid and you
mm,
14 years old and you just running around idle time in the summertime, you might fall into doing something that you shouldn't be doing. So I think it's a combination of things. Parents need to parent better. Yes, we do need more activities for these kids and things like that. And I mean, some of it is just like it's just too far gone. Like, bro, it'd be 10 bodies on this side and 10 bodies on this side, and you trying to tell us be cool. I don't really think that
mm,
some of it is too far
mm.
gone, but some of it, like I said, more parenting and just more positive activities for the kids to do, whatever those activities may be.
If you had a kid tomorrow, would you be comfortable raising them in the South Side where you
Yeah.
grew up at?
Yeah. Well, maybe not. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like again, some of it is like you have to use street. Like, granted, I was taking a bus to school and everything, but like you gotta use street smarts, bro. Like some of it you can like, for instance, if I see, let's say I'm walking home from school, right, and I see 5 people on that corner, I'm gonna cross the street. I'm not gonna let them see me cross the street though. But I'm gonna divert my way around. So, okay, can I like move around this? It's just like
Hmm.
having street smarts and just knowing what to do. And also, again, like I'll be like, "Hey, bro, where you at? You not finna go out and hang out with your kids all hours of the night." Now,
Hmm.
granted, you can't some things you can't avoid, obviously, but yeah, you're not finna go hang out with your friends all hours of the night. I'm not gonna let you go to that party. Like my grandma never let me go to house parties. Why? Because house parties get shot up. So she would never let
Mm,
me go and like do those things, which is why I'm saying some of these things depending on parenting. But a lot of the kids' parents is 25,
mm.
30. they was in the lifestyle. They don't know no better. So like, but that goes to whole generational things, and we can have a whole long conversation about that. So yeah, but like I said, those three things for me. Some of it is just too far gone, but parenting and just more activities for kids. And yeah, I'd be comfortable raising them. I would just try to do my best. Again, I can't protect you for
91st and Emerald, you think you could do it and it'd be completely fine?
yeah. Like again, I can't protect you from everything, but I can do my best to protect you from some things.
Are there areas of the South Side that you think are just like it's kind of impossible to have a decent way of living?
I think there are areas where it's very hard, like where like it's
It would be like
areas
really
where it's
hard.
like very like again around where I went to church at growing up. If you're in that area now, granted, I don't
Old
know.
Block is tough.
Yeah, like bro, it's just they shooting every night, bro. It's kids shooting every night. Like I don't know how you kind of
How
avoid
you
being.
even?
You can't even go
Yeah,
outside, bro. Like you physically can't even play outside. Like ain't no hooping at the park, bro. No,
over there, you literally can't even play ball.
I wouldn't. I mean, you can, but I wouldn't suggest you
Well, you
do it.
wouldn't suggest it.
I wouldn't suggest you be out there hooping at the park.
I don't want to keep you too long, so I do want to get your opinion about the music that was pioneered out of Chicago. Not too long after '07, if we're being real,
Yeah,
when it started bubbling up, the Chief Keefs, the King Louis, the all of these guys. What do you remember about that time, and what part do you think the music plays in
a huge
telling the
part.
story of this?
A huge part. Okay, so growing up, like when College Dropout came out, I was 12 years old. I will tell you, on my block, we was not playing that, bro. We playing Jeezy. We
One of my
playing.
favorite albums at the time. I was like, wow. I was
We was
blown
like,
away. This was like '03,
yeah,
'04, maybe?
we was like, get
Blown
this
away by the College Dropout.
completely out of here, bro. This man wearing pink polos talking about college. What? Play that Jeezy, bro. We not. So basically, I'm saying to say is I think that like the rappers that came from the city outside of Bump J was probably be the only one who really. But I feel like a lot of the rappers that came from the city didn't really uh weren't the best picture of what you saw in everyday life. And I remember when I
So
saw
guys like Kanye and Lupe and even
look,
Twister,
yeah, like well, Twista is like more older generation, and it's also
yes,
West
and
Side,
Common.
and it's also
Yeah.
West Side. Yeah, Common South Side, but like, bro, I'm not seeing Common outside.
No, no
That's not
shot.
what. That's not.
No shot.
That's not who. Like, there's like there were less people who were I want to say eclectic like me than there were Chief Keefs, which is why I think it was so strong because Keef was the first person where it's like,
He
yeah,
was
that's on
speaking
the
for the
corner.
majority of the people
Like
in the neighborhood.
that's on the corner. Like, yeah, and it blew up like it blew up in Chicago high schools first. Like Bang had like 500,000 plays on YouTube when that wasn't really a thing before we even
500,000 was crazy.
in like 2011, 2012, like that's a lot of plays. Now, whatever. But back then, that's a lot of plays. It had that many. So it grew out of the high schools and kids and things like that. And as far as what the violence did, well, music for the violence a lot. Because now we not just gonna shoot your homie, but we gonna shoot your homie and we gonna smoke on him in every song. And we gonna diss him in the record as well. And the record might become a hit. Like no, smoking Tuka, people don't realize that's a human being, bro. That was an actual child. That was a real child who got killed. That people now have to hit the whole world talking about they smoking Tuka and don't even know that's an actual human. I mean, I think people know now, but at first don't realize that's an actual human being. So yeah, the beef get the like even I remember one of the I don't want to say famous, one of the more infamous ones was like the JoJo situation. Like I remember there was a video, I guess he rolled down Little Reese block and whatever it did wasn't whatever. I think it was GDs and BDs rolled down whatever. And I guess Reese turned around and said, "I'ma kill you." And a couple hours later, we don't know what happened, but we know he got shot and he's not here with us today. So like the music,
Wow.
but he had a song on the 300 beat that said, "We not 300, we BDK." That was a song that came out. He remixed that. So the music I think played a huge part in it as well because again,
Man,
it
Lil
wasn't.
Reese is only 31 years old.
Yeah,
So in 2008, or 2011, he would have been like 18?
yeah, yeah. So
Jeez.
so I'm saying just say like the music played a huge part because it took it where it's like this would be a neighborhood thing, but now this is getting known around the world. So now you have like people who in LA that might tap into Chicago street culture and know like somebody who don't even rap, just a regular street guy. These people are famous. So now it's like, oh, well, we getting famous for the things that we doing. Like we got motion for what we doing. So yeah, the music I think played like a definitely played a part in it. Definitely played a part in it.
Are you still listening to any drill now?
New drill, no. I think drill as a genre has kind of died off. But like, yeah, the classic drill for sure. Like Chief Keef Back from the Dead, still play that. Classic album. Classic album.
You
Classic album.
still listening to King Louis every now and again?
Yeah, I definitely like the stuff from that early era that I was in because it just has such a attachment to me of my young 20, my young 18, 19, 21, 22-year-old years. Like when I was an adult, a little bit older than them, but I was still in the city. That's such an attachment and just how big it was in the city at that point in time. Like, yeah, I still play it, but these things definitely contributed to a lot of the things that we see here today. And I think that you would be being naive to say that these records and the music didn't contribute to anything. Because how would you feel if your homie got shot, but you got to hear on the radio they got a song dissing them, bro? You gonna be mad, bro.
Come on, man. Like this is just common sense, and the fact that they're putting like real actual people,
real people and crimes,
and real actual crimes that happen in the records, and like, you know, back in the days, man, like with 50, I remember with the Ghetto Quran, people was like, oh, he's snitching. Mind you, he was talking about shit that had happened like 10 years prior.
Yeah.
You know, that had happened at least 5 years prior. You know, and people was like, oh, 50 snitching and all of that. And it caused a huge like stir up in the street community in Queens specifically, man. Like these dudes would talk about some shit that happened 2-3 days ago.
2-3 days ago.
In the song.
Like King Von was rapping about active bodies that like cases that were out. Like, yeah, open cases. Like, bro, what?
Yeah.
And they have murals of him now in Chicago. Murals.
Of King Von? Is he in prison? Is he out?
No, he's dead.
Oh, not King Von. I'm thinking about King Louis. I know Von is dead. Yeah, yes, of course they got
murals. They have murals of King Von.
Yeah, King Von, he's been accused of doing a lot
of things. Like a lot of like it doesn't even seem real.
Outside of the context of like rap and, you know, Black America, like in a different context, he would be considered a terrorist.
He did a lot of things, bro. He did a lot of things, bro. A lot of things. Allegedly, we don't know for sure, but allegedly he did a lot of things.
Yo, I don't know if you've watched any of that Trap Lord.
I watched the entire 5-hour thing. It was one night I locked in and watched I was sitting there like, bro, what?
Yo,
this was going on?
To really sit and watch the documentation of all the things that have happened, Pav, is so, it's just nuts. And how much shit is public that this guy could just piece together, like, this was said on this song, this kid actually died, that was his rap name, blah, 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 this and that. Like, that he could literally just put together from publicly made information is wild. I would encourage anybody to go look up the Trap Lord Ross, homie. He's a white UK dude that is just like so tapped into the violence connected to a lot of this rap shit.
And nobody,
but yeah, check that out.
And that's like that's the other problem. Nobody went to jail for these things. If he could find that, bro, I know the police could find the info.
Crazy. Anyway, Pav, I ain't trying to keep you long, man. Tell the people where they can find you and a lot of your work, man.
Yeah, man. You can find me on Twitter at Pavy World. That's Pavy World, one word. You can check out my website, pavverse.com. Also, my the stuff I do in sports, hoops and brews, hoops. And then and brews. We have a pod we've been doing for, I don't know, 8 years now. Like I said, you can check out my music on Spotify.
Y'all don't get as cooked as y'all used to.
We don't get as cooked as we used to, but like we got older, and we just can't do that. But check out all of that Pavy World everywhere on the internet if you want to get into the things that I do. So yeah.
Appreciate it, bro. All right, make sure you guys get your tickets to the Count the Dings show on July 20th at countthedings.com. Get your tickets. New York City, we're back for the first time in 5 years, as crazy as that sounds. Our first show, we got an incredible guest lineup. We're going to be rolling out the announcements to that within the coming weeks, but go get your tickets right now because they're going to sell out pretty quickly. And yeah, make sure you become a Patreon at patreon.com/countthedings. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.